Okay. All right. I guess we'll get it sent out later. Sorry, we're looking for URL code to share and it's not populating, but we'll get that done here when we're probably wrapping this thing up. But we'll go ahead and give you another update. We said that we would probably jump back on around 9 o'clock if we had some changes to the forecast. So here we are. We've got some changes in the forecast. You can see that big band of snow set up across the northern panhandle. It's mostly a grapple snowflake mix here in Amarillo right now. It's just kind of off and on, depends on if you get caught under some of these, streaks of reflectivity. It's not very heavy, and it's again mostly just kind of melting on contact. The temperature's still 35, 36 degrees, so not anything sticking to the surface here in the Yellow City, at least not right now. But the further north you get, there are certainly some snow accumulations already beginning. It looks like there's probably already an inch of snow on the ground around Dalhart to Text Line. And there is some snow up there in Perryton right now as well. So here's what the overall setup looks like. You can see there's that big band of snow that's really starting to fill in across the area, expected to track from west to east. And again, we'll probably see some additional snow develop kind of on the backside of this one that's currently developed, and that's what's going to help kind of allow for the snow to persist through the overnight hours, expecting it to probably snow off and on overnight tonight for much of the panhandle. So we probably could see, a nice blanket of snow for a good chunk of the area. Not everyone's going to see a lot of snow, but we may see a few places, especially where we get caught under these small scale, really heavy bands that do try to set up tonight, where you might get 3 or 4 inches of accumulation before you wake up. So that's what we're going to try and break down and talk to you about here in our evening update. But that upper level low looks like it's continuing to weaken, still probably a closed system there. It does look like there's a little bit of some circulation over in western New Mexico, so probably still a closed upper level storm system, which again, we were expecting this to be an open wave trough as it swings through. It is expected to continue to weaken, but definitely appears like there's a closed upper level low that's associated with this. So that's probably another reason why we're getting some more hefty snow totals than what we were forecasting just 48 hours ago. So here's the winter weather advisory. You can see it's been put into effect for the entire Texas, Oklahoma panhandle. The only exception in the viewing area that we cover for the panhandles is Cottle County. You guys are not under a winter weather advisory at this point in time. That being said, we do expect probably a quick shot of snow or at least some wintry precip down here as well tomorrow morning at some point. So we may still see some adjustments to this as we continue further into this evening. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. Hold on. At our temperatures, 34 degrees here in Amarillo. We are falling below freezing up in the northern side of the area where that snow is currently making its way to the surface. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those cameras. That's one thing that we didn't show you real quick. So here's Text Line. You can see, again, obviously snowing at a moderate rate there. Visibility is over a half a mile, or over a quarter mile, probably a little under a half a mile. So it's a moderate snow. It's not heavy, but you can see it's enough to start accumulating slowly there on some of the parking lots and portions of the roads. The sidewalks are melting it away pretty efficiently still right now, but as the temperatures continue to plummet, that's going to change. This will probably continue to stick and start to really accumulate on really most surfaces at this point on. But you can see the grass completely covered in snowfall there. If we take a look in Dumas, you can see it is snowing up there too. It looks like it's probably snowing at a decent clip. They haven't seen snow as long as Text Line, so the accumulation is probably not as impressive there, but you may start to see some of that stuff stick to the grass here in the next, probably half hour to an hour. And then we've got some mostly just flurries around Bushland and Amarillo and a little bit of grapple kind of mixed in as well. And again, that's what it looked like there on the radar. So let's go ahead and run you through the computer model. You can see it's got a pretty good band of snow set up here in the northwest. The band of snow is much more expansive than what you're seeing here on the model. And so it does have another one trying to develop down here, and it does look like that's trying to unfold this evening. We may get kind of a narrow corridor in here where we get what we call mesoscale snow banding. And there's probably going to be a confined corridor, maybe only 10 miles wide, where you're seeing some really heavy snow rates. If this kind of stacks up over the same spots for, a 3 or 4 hour period, it's possible you get 3 to 4 inches of snow accumulation down there somewhere in the southern panhandle. Right now, we're kind of leaning towards it being somewhere from, Clovis to Hereford to Tulia from where it kind of starts, and then extending all the way up kind of through Clarendon, Pampa, and Shamrock. There's probably going to be a narrow swath in here somewhere, maybe pretty close to Paladuro Canyon State Park, where we do see maybe a 3 to 4 inch snow amount as we wake up tomorrow morning, and it still could be snowing when you wake up as well. You can see it's probably a little bit lighter in nature, but notice the temperatures. They're a little drier and colder. So the snow is probably going to be a bit more fluffy as we get into tomorrow morning. If there's already a snowpack on the ground, that will still probably accumulate at a decent rate. So probably around a ½ inch an hour with some of those light snow amounts if there is already a blanket on the ground. We are expected to clear things out as we move into the afternoon. Temperatures going to be very cold. We'll probably struggle to get above freezing, but I do think we'll eventually get there, and then we'll have a very frigid night on deck for Friday morning. We'll start off in the teens and 20s, and then we'll work our way back up into the upper 40s and low 50s in the afternoon. Keep in mind, Friday we have the Electric Light Parade. It's going to be a cold night. Again, that starts at 6 p.m., and you can see the temperature at 5 o'clock already 44 degrees and then tumbling into the 30s very fast. So it's going to be a cold one this year for the Electric Light Parade. So here's our forecast. Again, this probably looks a little bit different than what we showed you this afternoon. We've basically just taken this 1 to 3 inch swath and shifted it further east to encompass Hereford, Dimmitt, Canyon, Tulia, Claude, Clarendon, Shamrock, and then Lake McClellan and areas like Groom and McLean as well. This is where we think that mesoscale band of snow, of heavier snow, could inevitably set up, and we, arguably could probably extend this to where areas like Perryton and Canadian may end up seeing an inch of snowfall as well. And so I think a lot of us are going to be in that 1 to 1.5 inch range by the end of the event. But there's going to be some corridors in there where we see those narrow bands of heavy snow set up where 3 to 4 inches of accumulation is going to be possible. It's not going to be for everyone, but we will probably see a few locations that do see a decent event. It's not going to be a huge event, but it's going to be notable. So here's what the 7-day tracker looks like. This has not changed. We've left this alone, but 60% chance for some morning snowfall here in Amarillo. A bulk of this is happening between now and about 6 a.m. After that, we're going to start seeing that chance of snow decrease as all this stuff starts to push off into western Oklahoma. And then we've got a cold day for the Electric Light Parade, and then we've got some quieter weather moving into next week. A lot of sunshine, temperatures gradually starting to rebound. We'll eventually get into those 60s for those high temperatures. But that's kind of what we've got going on this evening. Expect to probably wake up to at least a light dusting. Some of us maybe a little bit more than others on that 2 to 3 inch range. But I do think most, if not all of us, will have at least a little bit of winter weather overnight tonight. That's all we've got for you. Thank you so much.